Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? AJ Gore here, and we are live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And you know what? We're getting it popping. We're getting it started off. We've got some winners to announce from last week's giveaway. You know, we've got the people that I'm going to announce the lucky winners. We've got two winners, both from the Facebook side as well as the YouTube side. I will be announcing their names in just a minute, and they'll be allowed to pick their choice of KastKing Covert, KastKing Cast Pro Braid, or KastKing 13X. So we've got some people jumping in here from YouTube and Facebook. Guys, do me a favor, click that like button, click that share, let people know that we're live, especially when we're doing these giveaways and fun things like that. You know, the more people we can get in here, the more people we can reach, the more the top brass at KastKing says to give it away, AJ. Let's give it away. Let's give away some more goodies. So we got a lot of people jumping in on Facebook, coming off. Need to get some more love out there on the YouTube side. So guys, definitely. Also, for those of you jumping in new, that we use StreamYard is our platform that we're going on there. So if you want your name and your face shown, if I happen to click your questions or things like that, you have to give authorization for them to just share your screen name and picture. It's not sharing any of your information, just your screen name and picture. So, all right, so let's get it kicking off right now. I'm going to go ahead and announce our winners last week from our giveaways with Cliff Crochet. You know, Cliff Crochet uses 100% KastKing fluorocarbon now, and he uses 100% of our braid, primarily in the 13X as well as the Cast Pro braid. Same thing with Brent. So those are going to be the giveaways that whoever wins is going to be able to choose from in their test, whatever pound test line or color they're after, if they go braid or in the fluorocarbon. So the first winner, our Facebook winner, is Brohilio Mendoza. What's up, Brohilio? You are our lucky winner, and I see that you are watching tonight. So kudos to you, brother. You are our lucky winner on the Facebook side. So congratulations to you, Brohilio. You get your pick on 13X, Cast Pro, or on the KastKing Covert fluorocarbon. So hit me up in the messenger part on Messenger, and I'll get you dialed in. And my YouTube winner is going to be Matthew Lee. Matthew Lee on YouTube. Hit me up on Facebook Messenger with a screenshot of your user page on Facebook, or I'm sorry, on YouTube, and I'll get you dialed in on your choice of Covert, fluorocarbon line from KastKing, the 13X finesse braid, or the tried and true KastKing Cast Pro. So let's get into it. I'm going to bring in my guests right now. I got two guests coming in, and the first one I'm going to bring in right now is, you guys know him, Mr. Al Norker, right here. Mr. Al Norker. How's it going, Al? Glad to have you.
Awesome, AJ. Thanks for having me again. I appreciate that.
Awesome. And actually, I'm going to bring in a third guest while we're at it too, Mr. Nicholas Wink right here. Going to have some fun with our guests here. And
how's it going, everybody? How you doing, Al?
I'm good. Nice to see you, Nick.
Good.
Guys,
nice to see you
welcome
too,
to
AJ.
the show. Glad to have you guys. I'm going to bring Al on. Al, we've got some exciting stuff going on in the world of KastKing. I know we've been signing some pros. We got pros all over the map. Al, can you shed some light on some of the new developments? And hopefully soon I can get them on and have them talk to the people.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to share that with you right now. First of all, I want to say a little shout out to Peyton McGarry. I see he's watching here tonight. Peyton actually called me yesterday and was chatting with me about the potential to be a pro in the future. So like we talked about, you hang in there, keep trucking, get some wins under your belt, and then you call me back. All right. So anyway, we're going to jump right in. We've got some exciting new guys coming up here. You know, we've been rolling with some of the best names in the industry, whether it's NWT, with Dylan Nussbaum, the youngest champion ever on the NWT. Angler of the Year at one time on the Elite Series, Brett Chapman, and the Cajun Baby, of course, Cliff Crochet, which you all had a pleasure to spend some time with last week. But, you know, we've got now between pro anglers and pro guides around the country, around 80 guys fishing professionally, either making a living taking people fishing or making a living catching fish in the tournament series. We keep adding all the time. And the main reason is people are understanding the quality performance levels that KastKing products deliver. And they say, I want to be on that bus because that bus is heading downtown right direction. And so I'm proud to announce today a couple new names. Chad Halverson, another NWT walleye pro. has joined the KastKing staff. He'll be fishing NWT, competing against Dylan this year. Dylan, look out. This guy's a stick. He catches big fish. He lives in the Northwest on the mighty Columbia River, and he flat knows how to catch them. So he's going to be pushing Dylan and the rest of the guys on the NWT this year. Last year we had Blake Sylvester, a name that you probably remember. He was our first guy in the Bassmaster Classic, qualified through the Opens. He was fishing only KastKing reels last year in the Classic, but big news this year, he's now with us for everything.
All across the board, rods, reels, line, tools, everything. He saw the light. I spent some time with him and Cliff down in the Delta, and maybe one of these days you'll see a picture. I got to give Blake a little grief over this because he parked us on a sandbar at about 50 miles an hour one day. It was kind of an exciting deal. But anyway, Blake, I still love you, even though you almost launched me out of the boat. But he is on with us for everything. He's a great guy. Okay, couple new names and a brand new fishing league for KastKing. The NPFL, National Professional Fishing League. We now have 2 professional anglers fishing the NPFL with us, Jake Chauncey and Ross Rhodes. Really glad to have these guys on board. And I got to tell you a little story about Jake and Ross. They came to me separately, but it turns out that these guys are like best buddies. They room together, they travel together on the NPFL, and they're going to be tag teaming and doing some wonderful social media work for us while they're competing out there. And we're real happy to have Jake and Ross on board with us. And I know that pretty soon here, they're going to be on a live show like this with AJ. So you'll all get to meet them personally, but those are some names to watch for and a league series to watch for, the NPFL. That is a pretty exciting new league. And there's going to be some up and comers. There's going to be some guys advancing to the Elite Series from there, probably some guys jumping into the MLF in the future from there. So there's some real sticks on the NPFL. So watch out for those guys. And of course, we knew from last week that Cliff is 100% KastKing now on board. Used to be just reels and rods, and real proud to have him fishing everything that connects that hook to our reels. He's using all of our line now, and that's really exciting news. And we took him away from a very big brand out there. So we're glad to have Cliff aboard with all that. Those are just a few. Now, we've got a lot of other guys that have come on board with some regional things, some statewide tournaments, some local type of things. But we've got people fishing everything from Major League Fishing, Bass Opens, NWT, all the way down to local levels on bass, walleye, catfish, you name it. The world is really opening up to KastKing, and it's all about technology, performance, and of course, affordability. Awesome.
Right.
Like you said, we got somebody in the comment also said we have a full house, but that comment can come out of the comment section of this live right here being a full house, but KastKing's got a full house of pros. And Nick, you're kind of on our pro staff, aren't you too? Aren't you out there banging sticks around against some of these guys?
Right. I'm on the pro staff, doing some regional stuff, BFLs, looking to get into the Opens, things like that. I fished against a lot of the guys that are in Major League Fishing and in the Elites even. So it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, we're really happy to have Nick too, because, he may not be out there on the biggest tours today. Watch for this guy because he's a stick. He's a tough competitor. He's always in the game at every place he competes. So watch for Nick. Before I let this go, I see 2 other people that checked in here, AJ. And if I don't say something to these 2, because
I have a feeling I know who. Yeah.
These are 2 of my favorite people. They're also the very first KastKing pro anglers that I signed a little over 4.5 years ago. And that's Clay and Sandy Roberts. And awesome. I got to tell you what, husband and wife team, they fish kayak, they fish team bass tournaments. They're fly fishing maniacs, world-class fly casters. Those are the kind of people that make KastKing go. And, they've been with us since I joined the company, and I just wanted to give them a shout out. Really appreciate them hanging with us and great to have you, Clay and Sandy.
They are true ambassadors of the sport, no doubt.
Yep.
Yeah, I love those two, man. They are awesome. I mean, full of life and just knowledgeable and just down to just help out anybody that's got a question or anything like that. It's awesome. I love those guys. Those guys are truly class acts. But so, we got Scott Thomas in the house. What's going on, Scott? So we got some fun things going on. You've talked about, we've got Bassmaster class or Bassmaster or the Bass series, I should say. We've got MLF people. We got the new, MPFL coming along, but there's a lot of stops in the KastKing world, and we're going to get into some fun stuff, kind of a fun conversation. We're going to take some questions too, or some different things that people may come across. If you guys got a question to ask Al or Nick or anything like that, let me know. But we've got a whole lot of things in our roster. Now, we are going to be at the Bassmaster Classic this year. Isn't that right, Al?
Absolutely. Scott and I will be at the Classic in Greenville, South Carolina. The Classic is being held and fished on the beautiful Lake Hartwell this year. And, this is the second year in a row that KastKing has been invited as only one of 3 vendors to be inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor booth at the Bassmaster Classic. We're really proud about that. I mean, it was a big deal last year, the first time, right? But heck, we got invited back. That's a really big deal. All right.
Yeah.
So it's going to be KastKing, Abu Garcia, and Igloo will be inside the booth. And I got to tell you guys, if you can get to Greenville, you come and see us, because inside the Academy booth, we're going to be giving away almost $20,000 worth of KastKing combos and gear during the 3 days, March 4th through the 6th in Greenville, South Carolina.
Wow. Then that's all courtesy of KastKing and Academy Outdoors at the Bassmaster Classic.
Absolutely. So come see us. We've also got some kind of fun games that are going to be going on inside of that, some smaller prizes, but the big prizes will go through the Academy prize wall. And like I said, it's almost $20,000 worth of combos and other gear that we're giving away during those 3 days of the Classic.
That's awesome. That's killer.
Yeah, it is.
And so, of course, we're going to be at ICAST. And then is there any other shows? I mean, there's a handful of shows here and there, but any big hitters other than the Classic and ICAST?
Yeah. So here's the rundown. Everybody, I think, knows how much we love consumer shows, right? Whether they're small regional shows, local shows. In fact, Scott and one of our new pro guides did a show, LJ, Fish and Jim Lanier down in Georgia down there, did a show 2 weeks ago and had great results. But, this whole COVID thing is still getting in our way, right? Mm-hmm. Dang. I mean, Scott and I used to crisscross this country virtually every weekend from the first week of of January through the middle to the end of March every year. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of work, a lot of fun though. And COVID put a stop to all that, right? In fact, even ICAST was canceled. So we've been kind of backing off, partially because a lot of the shows were canceled and partially because we just wanted to protect our own employees from being in that environment with so many people. So we haven't done a lot of consumer shows. The Classic was actually the first one we had done in over a year last year. So this year, the only shows that we're going to be doing is, again, the Classic. But just prior to that, we'll also be in a small way at the Catfish Conference. Scott will be there with Matt Jones. They'll be doing that show. And then we have the Red Crest, the MLF version of the Bassmaster Classic will be this year also. And we will be at that show. Okay. Then, of course, to ICAST. Right now, that's the only thing we have on our plate as far as consumer shows. And we're hoping this whole thing kind of settles down and lets us get back to doing our deal and putting the product in the consumer's hands and spreading the KastKing love all over the country. And we'll be back after it again. But to start with, that's the rundown for this year.
That's awesome. So speaking of rundown, we're at the 15-minute mark of our 30-minute show, and there's some fun stuff going on. Now, we're about a week and a half away, somewhere in that range, no more than 2 weeks away from the first stop in the MLF series for 2022. I know Cajun Baby Cliff's got to be excited. I know Brent's got to be excited. I mean, these guys are getting down to 0 hour, and there's a whole laundry list of some sticks. Like that's what you've been talking about. Everybody to be in any of these categories, like in the category that Nick, fishes in, from the MPFL, the Wild West Bass Trail here on the West Coast, to the FLW circuits, to the Bass Nations, to all those guys are there because they work hard, they grind. But to get to the elite level in the Bass Pro Tour, I mean, every one of those guys has proven themselves time and time again. So we would love to see Brent and Cliff dominate every time. But to be truthful, we know that anglers, sometimes you go out and get that skunk in the boat, and that's the only thing that ends up in the boat rather than a 10-pounder, and that can be horrible. So we hope that Cliff and Brent don't have many of those days. But, we hope that they have a whole bunch of the days where they're at the top of the leaderboard. Now, so without saying Brent is our top pick or Cliff is our top pick, which we can say on certain stops, but who do you guys believe? And this is for Alan and for Nick. You guys in the comment section, let us know, who do you guys see in 2022, given the whole roster?
Okay.
A whole bunch of problems to deal with at the top of that leaderboard.
This is a great question. Nobody go out and put your money on what I'm going to tell you, because I could be dead wrong. But
it's fishing. It can change.
Yeah, but here's the bottom line. First of all, I've spent a lot of time with both Brett Chapman and Cliff Crochet this fall as we're testing gear, building new product, and these two boys are focused. You watch for Brett Chapman and Cliff Crochet this year, and they're going to be up there. But who could not, in their right mind, based on history, talk about people like Jacob Wheeler? Okay, and Ott Defoe. Okay, if I had to pick anybody out there, those guys are going to be consistent winners all the time. But you guys also know that I've, over the last 10 or 12 years, spent a lot of time with one guy, a big name in the industry, and that's Skeet Reese.
Bill Skeet, yep.
And if you watch what Skeet was doing last year, he was coming on strong. Wouldn't surprise me at all to have somebody like a Skeet Reese jump up there and surprise a lot of people. He's really back in the game. He's doing his own thing out there now. Skeet's a stick. I love the guy. And I think you need to watch out for Skeet. Okay. A couple of the names. There's some funny things going on right now. How many siblings, father, sons, that type of thing are going on out there right now? So, keeping up with the Joneses, right? Alton Sr., Alton Jr. Those guys just flat catch them, right? How about all the Lane brothers? I mean, there's more Lane brothers coming out all the time.
That's exactly my pick right there. You said Ott Defoe, you said Jacob Wheeler. I had Chris and Bobby Lane, definitely for sure. 100% agreeing with you there.
Yeah. And there's another guy that I like. And Nick, I'm going to let you jump in here in just a minute, but I just want to throw out a couple of things. There's a guy that was in it to almost the end and just had a couple things happen last year that didn't allow it to happen to the big number. That's Fletcher Shryock. Mm-hmm. That guy can flat catch him, and he is fishing a lot of the bodies of water that he really, really likes. Another guy that is kind of below the radar, if you will, but when it comes to finesse techniques, and I think some of the events this year are going to be one fishing finesse techniques, and that's Takahiro Mari.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Keep an eye on Tak. I think he's going to be up there big. And, of course, if we didn't mention another family situation, the Van Dams, I mean, it's kind of like betting against Brady, right? How can you bet against Kevin Van Dam? And Jonathan has learned a lot from him. So, and don't forget, the last event, stop number 7 on MLF this year, is on one of my favorite lakes in the whole country, and that's Mille Lacs up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's considered a smallmouth fishery, right? I love it for its walleye, but it's not just smallmouth. There are some giant largemouth in Mille Lacs, and that lake is not going to be won just by brownfish. Okay. Right. There's going to be some big largemouth, and the guy that can go back and forth between typical northern finesse techniques and largemouth techniques in heavy cover can do really well on Mille Lacs if they spend a little time practicing that. So that's kind of my rundown. Old and new, finesse, family situation. There's some sticks out there. It's going to be a fun year.
Gotcha.
So now I got to say, with that said, sorry not to jump on your toes, Nick. I know you got to get you in here, Nick, but I got to say Josh Bertrand. Now he's a hometown boy. I've always shown love for Josh.
Oh yeah,
But
he's
where I
good.
think Josh is going to come in and shine at different times is on what you just said, Al, the lake where they're going to go out there and go after them brown smallies, finesse them, deep water, whatever, however he's going to have to go through smallies at that time of year. Josh is a smallie king. But also what got Josh known and just won everything here in Arizona is flipping and punching big monster bass. Had a crazy cover. So he can catch the big largemouth with the best of them if he really gets out there and works, and he's done it. But he is known as a smallmouth whisperer. So I think Josh is he's gonna have some good showings here and there. The guy's capable all the way around, but I think Josh is gonna be one to watch for sure. And then Dustin Connell has shown himself as somebody not to sleep on. What do you guys think of it? What do you think,
He's
Nick?
good. He's real good. He's real good.
AJ, I'm going to jump off because I've got to get on to a conference call with the product development team tonight. But I wanted to thank everybody for hanging in with this new format. I love it. AJ, you've done a great job on this. And I'm watching in the comment columns here. I'm seeing a lot of conversation about braided line. Maybe that came up because of Cliff and some of the other guys coming on here. But I want to encourage everybody. I got to tell you that probably 5 or 6 of the new guys that I've signed this year are what I would call finesse guys. And they signed with us specifically because of 13X finesse. Okay. If you all have not tried Cast Pro 13X finesse braid, you are missing out. That is the real deal. And there's going to be some winning going on this year with the thinnest, most sensitive, most supple, long casting braid. That's 13X finesse, and you can trust me on that one.
Awesome.
So,
yeah.
Thanks, everybody. I'm going to jump off. Nick, give him your picks, and I'll talk to you all soon.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Thanks, Al. Al Norker, ladies and gentlemen. So, Nick, thanks for hanging in there, man. It sounds like we're just running over top of you. Thank you for being
no
patient.
problem. He was dropping some great information, really exciting stuff. He picked some of the best guys out there, but let's face it, AJ, on that roster, it's just stacked from top to bottom.
Every one of those guys.
I'm really excited for that first event because it's in Louisiana, Cliff's hometown there. But I think you told me earlier they're going to be fishing a couple different lakes.
3 different.
So you're going to have to fish on the fly. So those finesse guys are going to have it a little bit tougher because you can't just settle down. You have to move water. So I like the power fishing there. And if the weather holds up, which is a big if this time of year, that pre-spawn and even some early spawning action can move these fish up on those flats. And I think Brent and Cliff are going to do a great job. But if I had to go outside of Brent and Cliff, the Lee brothers are always tough. You have Brian Thrift, Edwin Evers, and everybody you guys mentioned. I mean, you could flip a coin. Any of those guys can find them. And they're going to be using a lot of power fishing techniques, I believe, because of the pre-spawn. And these fish are going to be feeding up as long as that weather holds up. And that's going to be the key. No cold fronts. You don't want any cold fronts coming through. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the weather is going to be like in that part of Louisiana. Caleb Greenwald, thanks for joining. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Sorry.
You brought up Bertrand, and it's interesting you brought him up because he came up to the St. Lawrence River a few years ago, and he put a licking on them smallies up there, and it was really fun to watch. He's good.
Yeah. Yeah, Josh is actually a friend of mine. He lives here in Arizona. That guy right there, I've said it before, I'll say it again. That dude is a stellar dude, like in the industry, and just he's a class act. Like when you meet Josh, he's the nicest guy in the world, and he'll shake your hand, talk to you for an hour, and give you the realest answer you ever could. He's just such a good dude, but the dude is amazing. The guy is there for a reason, and just like, we've seen Brent and Cliff all get right there to that edge and then just things happen, and that's fishing. And I think we've seen Josh in the same boat as well as every one of these other guys, so it's a who's who can win. I mean, from from, Terry Scroggins and like he said, Skeet Reese and Ish Monroe. I mean, all those guys, Jordan Lee, those guys have all had, Justin Lucas, killer careers so far and won tons of money doing it for a reason. So this is 2022. And like you said, we got the 3 different bodies of water. We don't know what the weather exactly is going to do till it gets closer. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun. And one thing Cliff said last week when I had him on the show, he goes, you guys are saying it's in my backyard. He goes, but it's really not a lake or a bodies of water that I fish much. And he said, I think one of the lakes that they're going to fish on, he hasn't really fished in 5 to 10 years. So who knows what he's getting into? I don't know if he's allowed to pre-fish or anything. So,
and you know what? It's funny you say that, AJ, because a lot of times, even where I live, people think because you live in that region that you're a shoe-in, and that's not always the case, because a lot of times you're not as familiar with those lakes because you end up traveling outside, and even if you are familiar with those lakes, you end up fishing a lot of history.
Yep.
Where people from outside that area, they don't really know that history, so they just fish and follow their gut feeling and what they know, and
they're calculating for their best choices.
Yep.
Where in a way it can almost be a handicap. That's a great point to put. A handicap like me, Roosevelt Lake is a lake that I've grown up on my whole life here in Arizona, and Lake Havasu. I've never fished Lake Havasu. Been there a few times, but never fished it. I went and helped people catch fish on it, but never fished it myself. And so you'd think if I'm doing a big tournament, AJ Havasu's his lake.
Yep.
So you could come in there probably, school me, because you're going to go in there and just use calculated move, like how can I break this apart, But or even on my Lake Roosevelt, I'm going to go to places where I know that I've killed it on and done great, and throw my confidence lure 945 times, hoping for one bite. Where you're going to go out there and just bang, oh no, not working here. Move, go to this next place. Boom, not working here. Go to this next place, and make calculated moves. So it's going to be fun to watch to see who actually does good. So hopefully Cliff kills it on those bodies of water. But
one other thing that's going to be real fun to watch too is, unlike many other parts of the country, you're going to have structures that you're going to visibly see that you don't see anywhere else. Cypress trees, standing timber. Down south, it doesn't get as cold as it does up north. So it's going to look lively instead of everything looks dead. They're going to be using baits that you're going to scratch your head and go, wow, this time of year up north, you wouldn't even think of that. We're ice fishing yet, They're going to be catching fish on moving baits. And they're going to use finesse if they have to, especially if they find early spawners.
Right.
But I think they're going to be forced to move water. I just do. I think in that format, you really have to move water. And I want to give everybody that's watching this a tip. And this is a tip from the pros, that when they get to these bodies of water, they do what's called pre-practice. And when they do pre-practice, they don't hardly cast a line. They are using their underwater eyes, which is their graphs, their side imaging, their down imaging, and all that stuff to find the structure. And then when they come back a couple days before the tournament, they're going to find them areas and then dissect them. But they find them in pre-practice. So people often wonder, how do these guys find this stuff? Well, they're fishing for a living, and they find this stuff on pre-practice, and then they dissect it further in practice, and even during the tournament. They use their forward imaging and all that stuff to see what's going on. And I really think forward imaging, it's been a factor everywhere now. So pay close attention to that too. These guys watching their screens, and they can see if there's fish on that structure or not.
And that's the same thing too. Is they're going to go in there and they're going to map out all these target goals, and you'll hear them time and time again. Anybody that follows these tournaments, they'll say, "Man, they were here 2 days ago. And now they moved out." And especially if you get a cold front come through, high or low pressure system changes the game. And then the fact that they're going to be jumping from one lake, AB will fish one lake, eliminate some guys, move to a second lake for the guys that are eliminated, boom, eliminate some guys. Then the championship's going to be held on a completely different body of water. And I don't know if they're going to allow them to fish all 3 lakes practice. It's going to be interesting to look into it and research and see, are they going to go in there completely blind and just have to go for it?
And imagine that pressure, AJ, because let's say you get on the first lake and you get lucky enough and you fall in on something, a great pattern, stockpile fish, whatever, and you make it to the next day. But guess what? The next day is on a different body of water, and your fish that you found yesterday don't matter anymore. And the next lake could absolutely be a totally different pattern. And that can really throw you for a loop when you're getting all your rods and your reels ready for that next day. You know, how do you know? You know, I was using braid over here, but on this lake it's clear water and braid doesn't work. Who knows? I mean, it's just, you know, it's interesting, and that's why it's awesome to be a spectator, and everybody should be watching because it's going to be awesome.
So who are your top picks that are going to give the whole field, not just our boys? I mean, we love Brent and we love Cliff,
right.
but you know, I love all my Arizona guys. I mean, it's crazy. There's like 4 or 5 guys from Arizona fishing in this MLF. So realistically, being an Arizona guy, I got to love and have appreciation for all of them. You know, not just Josh, you know, we got Dean Rojas. We've got quite a few different guys in there. But what are your picks for who's going to give the field some trouble?
I know you told me I can't pick Cliff and Brent, which I think they have an opportunity to have a great a tournament. I think they are right there. But if I had to go outside them, I think Brian Thrift is, you know, he was one of the best anglers on the FLW tour when they had it. And, you know, he came from there. He had to adjust last year a little bit to their format. You know, he was used to the 5 fish. And now it's, you know, anything over 2 pounds you weigh. So he had to adjust a little bit. I think he's going to be ready this year. And another one that wouldn't surprise me is Edwin Evers. I think he's always right there with everybody. But like we said, AJ, I think from top to bottom, I mean, it's just a stacked field, and it would be tough to single it to one person, but it's going to be a good event. That's for sure.
Right. Definitely. I think
Hey, question for you. Are you going to be at the Bassmaster Classic?
As of right now, it doesn't look like I'm going to be at the Classic. It could change. I'm actually, like, what's great is I wasn't ready for this question, but you know, it's in the last 8-9 years, I've done quite a few trade shows every year. And I have a day job, just like a lot of us do. Like you have a day job in your pursuit of greatness and everything, in my pursuit in the fishing industry of fun. But I still have a day job, and I've 8 to 9 years now, I've taken the majority of my vacation to go do these trade shows and things.
Right.
So I'm sad to a degree if I don't do a bunch of trade shows this year. You know, I love doing that stuff, but then at the same time, it's bittersweet. So then I'm like, well, maybe I could actually go do something with my wife and my kids, you know, and
hey, you got to do it.
Go fishing more and do some crazy stuff. So I might be at the Classic. Can't say that I will, but right now it doesn't look like I'm on the schedule for that, which again, you know, as we were in the Academy booth last year and I saw how that platform worked, and it was a really neat setup. But, you know, the nice thing is that there isn't a need for a whole lot of people there when you're working in the Academy booth. So looks like it's covered. I know that the MLF, you know, Red Crest has its own big trade show. And maybe I'll go for that one. Maybe I'll be at ICAST. I don't know yet, but as it looks right now, I might actually get some time to fish. Either way, I'm more than excited to go work these shows and see everybody and do what I do. But I'm also wouldn't be offended if I got to do some normal family vacation stuff too. So who knows? I'm okay with either. Totally okay with either.
And go fishing, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm probably going to, it's not that far from me actually for where I live. It's one of the closest probably Bassmaster Classics we're going to have anymore. So yeah, I wouldn't mind going down there, but I don't know if I'd be there for every day. So we'll see how it works out. You know, like you, I got a day job, and it's, you know, you save them vacation days up for tournament days and tournament weeks to pre-fish and all that stuff and family stuff. So, you know what, time is limited too, right?
That's right. That's right. I got Brandon Garcia in the comments here asking, how do I sign up to fish the MLF? Do I qualify? This guy right here, I know this guy personally. He is such a joker. I love the guy. But you know what? For anybody out there that doesn't know, how do you know, Nick, how somebody would try to get in the MLF?
Yeah, you have to qualify, and you're going to have to get into they have what was called the Costa Series. You qualify from the Costa Series. I think they take the top 5 at the end of the year into what they call the Big 5.
Right.
And then from the Big 5, if you win a tournament, I think they bring you up for an event. If you qualify from the year, you then qualify into the Major League Pro Series with these top guys. So
The Bass Tour, yeah, the Bass
yeah, I
Pro
mean,
Tour events.
it's a windy road, but the road's there. And believe it or not, this is what's cool about all these series, whether it's MLF or, Bassmasters or that other one, and what is it, NAAP?
PFL?
Yep.
Yeah.
All these tours, the average Joe angler has just as much of an opportunity reality-wise than anybody. You got to go to these events, qualify, and you can do it. And we have a lot of pros that I know Al was talking about earlier who are trying to make that road, trying to make that leap into those series and watch, because some of these guys will, and they'll do a great job.
Yeah. And there was, I can't think of his name, the Italian gentleman. And then there was a guy here in Arizona named Ty, and he's actually from, I believe he's from, I want to say I'm going to mess it up, so I shouldn't say where exactly he's from, but those are guys that he's an Arizona guy, but he's originally from another country and immigrated here when he was a child. But it's that American dream, moving up. And same thing with the gentleman from Italy. They hit in that Big 5, and they did very well and qualified to fish a couple events in that Bass Pro Tour League. And it was neat to watch them, because if you follow them, these guys are dudes that will put a hurting on us, the majority of us any day.
Yep.
And you look at them in your local circuits going, oh, these guys are sandbagging us. They're gonna just get us. But then to watch their social medias, they're over here, taking selfies with like Kevin Van Dam and Steve Reese and all these other guys and going, man, I'm living my dream. I'm living my dream. And it's neat to watch them live their dream on the biggest platforms, but yet they're also the guys to beat. They're realistically as good as anybody they're competing with, because they earned it to get there.
And a lot of these top guys that we're talking about, they'll fish lower tier tournaments every once in a while. So if you sign up for those events, you can compete against those guys, But I also wanted to throw out there, one of the names that Al threw out earlier for his winning names was Jacob Wheeler. And I think we all know him or know of him. You got to remember, he started in the BFLs and ended up qualifying and winning the All-American. And that started his whole career. I mean, he started in a regional event and just worked his way up and just started winning. And, there's some great stories, like you mentioned, AJ, that, people just go from the bottom to the top and, hey, their careers are made.
Yeah. It's going to be, Nate, great. Like you said, Jacob Wheeler and Ott Defoe were definitely my picks, and they're living their dream. They're moving up. You can't sleep on any of those guys.
No.
I remember Ott Defoe put on a flat out clinic one time where he was at the bottom of the leaderboard and then got into a school and caught like almost 40 pounds of fish in under 45 minutes and just blew through the roof and just smoked everybody. But that pesky Jacob Wheeler that just has dethroned everybody, that guy has been killing it lately. It's nice because we love Academy Outdoors, because we're recently, we're in their booth again this year for the Bassmaster Classic, and then we were last year, and we love working alongside Academy. So I got to give Jacob Wheeler love, because he's an Academy boy there. But you know what? I have got to say, I'm hoping for everything I can to see Brent Chapman, which we know Brent can finesse. We know Brent's going to throw that chatterbait. We know he's throwing that bladed jig, and he's going to sling it for the fences. We've seen him flip and do very well and come back and make the cut because of flipping. So he can do just about anything out there. But Cliff, like we said, this is his backyard, even though he doesn't really feel it's his backyard. But I can tell you right now, I think Cliff's going to power fish.
I think so too. No doubt.
I think he's going to be running water, like you said, moving, and swinging for the fences on that one.
Well, one of the things, I don't know if you looked at this, but they're both in the B bracket. So you got the A and B bracket, and unfortunately, they both got put in the same bracket. So hopefully they both qualify out of that same bracket. You know, it's going to be interesting. And I think they can. I think their fishing styles this time of year, that pre-spawn down there, is going to fit their fishing styles great. I really, truly do.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch. Well, Nick, we've exceeded that half-hour time schedule there. So
time flies when you're having fun.
Hey, we were having fun. We could probably go on for an hour or two. I go crack open some brews, you know,
there you
and
go.
we'll really get to having some fun. But what do you got going on in your schedule before I turn you loose? What's on the roster for Nick Week this 2022? What can we see you, and what should people look out for?
Right. This is a different year for me. So social media wise, you know, reeling with Nick, you'll see a lot of stuff on there for KastKing, things like that, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram and Facebook, it's just Nicholas Wink or reeling with Nick. But I'm going to be doing some tournaments, but I'm going to be doing a lot more guiding this year with kids and people that just need to get out fishing because of this whole COVID and all that stuff. They need to get out and clear their mind with fishing. So this year is going to be a great social media year. Hopefully tournaments go well. And then I'm going to kick it into 2023 to try to take that leap to go to the pro level of fishing. So I'm looking to have a lot of fun with a lot of people this year and really make some memories, good memories with people. And that's my goal for the year.
So now when you say that you're looking to kick it in to go like all out, just full on, go out there, just take on the big boys, are you going after MLF? You going after Bass Nations? What do you believe, which could change in a year? A lot can change in a year.
Right.
Where's your targets right now?
So my target is with the MLF side, I'm looking at that and you know how you get to that top spot or that top place. And the road's a little bit more windy there. So right now I'm leaning to in 2023 going into the Bassmaster Opens.
Okay.
Because if you win one, you qualify for the Classic. If you qualify at the end of the year, you qualify for the Elites. So the road's just a little bit different, a little bit, you can see it a little bit clearer. But like you said, a lot can change this year and we'll see, but it's going to be one of those two paths and I'm really excited about it.
You know, and it can happen. I mean, that's exactly what happened with, you know, Blake Sylvester through the Bass Nations. You know, he qualified for the Classic and I actually got to go out there and chase him around on the lake and follow him and get with him every morning and every evening on what was happening. And man, could you imagine if you qualified to fish the Bassmaster Classic and did well, let alone win? I mean, that would change your whole world.
Yeah, and it would. And I think about that a lot. I mean, who doesn't think about, you know, their dreams and where they want to be and you're trying to make those, but at some point you got to try to make that dream a reality. And that's the toughest for many of us. But like I said, this year I want to spend my time with a lot of people. Peyton, I appreciate you, buddy. And, you know, I want to give back. I like to give back. You know, just like you, give it away, AJ. I like to give back. And I think that really helps, especially where we're at right now. And then I'll worry about me after this year and kick it into all about Nick trying to be a pro and make a living fishing. And I'm fine with that. I'm good with that.
Yeah, and you do a lot of giveaways. So guys, definitely follow, you know, Nicholas Wink on his different pages. We'll let him give one more shout out to his different pages and how you can follow him. But you've got giveaways going all the time. Sometimes I'm like, man, my name shouldn't be given away. AJ should be giving away Nick. Like you are always hooking the people up. So one last time before I turn you loose, because you're actually at work, you know, and you took time away from work, which we appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
How can people follow you and how can some of those people take advantage of when you do give back on some of those giveaways?
Right. All you got to do is follow me on Instagram. It's Reelin' with Nick, or Facebook, Nicholas Wink, or also on YouTube, Reelin' with Nick. Check out everything. Be social. You know, let me know you're there. Let me know you're paying attention, and you never know. Just like AJ, you might win something.
There we go. Had a little drop out there. But for those of you guys who didn't hear it, Reelin' with Nick or Nicholas Wink, those are the different ways to search on the different search engines from Instagram, YouTube to Facebook. The guy's going to get you out and going to hook you up. Nick, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I appreciate it, man.
You got it, bud. It's my pleasure.
Have a great night.
You too.
All right. So that was Nicholas Wink, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, definitely follow him out on YouTube, from Facebook to Instagram. Get it worked out. So anyhow, for those of you guys tuning in right now, Matthew Lee is our YouTube winner from last week's giveaway. Matthew Lee, do me a favor, hit me up on my instant messenger, AJ Gore, on Facebook Messenger, and show me the actual, when you've logged into your home screen on YouTube, prove to me that you are the real Matthew Lee, and I can get you dialed in to fill your reels for the real Matthew Lee with your choice of some Cast Pro 13X finesse braid, or the 100% covert KastKing fluorocarbon line, or the standard 4-strand made with Spectra Fibers Cast Pro braid. So that's the hookup too. Brujulio Mendoza, he already knows, he's in our chat tonight. So he's going to get me dialed in. I'm going to get him dialed in on some his choice of that stuff. Guys, if you guys are looking to win on these giveaways that we do, the easiest way to do it is, make sure you follow us on our social media platforms. That's the way to do it right there. Give us a subscribe, give us a follow, a like, from TikTok to Instagram to Facebook, or YouTube, on however you view us. And then, of course, share our stuff as much as you can. We love that. We appreciate you. That's why we want to give back to you guys. And then, of course, get involved in our lives and our different things. And trust me, you can't win if you don't play. And I'll tell you what, you win. You win. I've won quite a few giveaways in my time. I've won a Garmin fish finder from Scott Martin, and Bill Dance before. I've won some reels from other people, even though I'm with KastKing, I just entered for the fun of it, and I've won. So I can tell you right now, from a guy that does the majority or a huge portion of the giveaways from KastKing, people win. They really do win, and you don't win if you don't play. So, guys, I want to hook you up. Make sure you check it out. And, of course, Nicholas Wink's going to be giving some stuff away. We got Nikki going live later this week, guys. Definitely check her out and give her a follow. Guys, we love you very much. Give some shout out to you guys, and we hope to see you guys next Tuesday. We appreciate it. We go live. Maybe we'll have a giveaway. Maybe we'll have another special guest that you guys can't wait to hear from. But, guys, definitely make sure you give us a follow. My name is AJ Gore, and I will see you guys next Tuesday night when I go live with KastKing and hook you guys up. You guys have a great night. Thank you guys very much, and we'll see you later.